Greetings and welcome to PinballHelp. Mike here. Today I'm kind of catching up on miscellaneous projects that have been sitting around here that I've been meaning to do. And I've had this Bally Mystic pinball machine, and this is a really cool game. This is an early production model that I believe has some different color things, or maybe I think there's a different color scheme with the cabinet in certain models. But anyway, this is a really neat game. It's those classic 80s era Bally's that I really like the artwork and everything on. This game is played very, very well for quite a while, and then it started malfunctioning. Some of the coils stopped working. Specifically, the center reset target back here was not popping up to reset. And so I'm going to show you the process that I went through, and this is another one of those lessons in pinball diagnostics. I'm really a firm proponent of what's called Occam's razor. Occam's razor is named after a guy named William of Ockham, who basically said the simplest solution to a problem is the most likely, right? And we tend to kind of overcomplicate everything sometimes. This is especially true when it comes to pinball machines, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So when you have a coil that's out on a game, there's a number of things that you want to do. The first thing you want to do is directly look at the coil. Pull the bottom of the playfield up, take a look at the coil in the game, in this case right here, and put a meter on it. But first you want to check and make sure that there's not a broken wire. That's the number one thing. It's usually the problem. Coils are pretty violent, and the vibration will break a wire loose, and when you break a wire loose, then you end up with obviously a coil that's not working. So let me show you the process I went through and tried to diagnose this. I put a meter on it, and the coil was good. I could read resistance across it, so I knew the coil wasn't bad. The wires were connected. I turned the game on. I put a meter across the lugs of the coil to ground, and I could read 40 to 50 volts there, which is what's supposed to be there, about 50 volts or so. So we knew that there was power getting to the coil, so the coil wasn't firing. So then you start following the path. So I'm going to show you, when you've got a coil out, the first thing you have to do is figure out where that coil is in the machine. What connectors, what wires, where does it terminate to the system boards. So usually for this, you'll bust out the trusty old manual here, and the manual will have it'll have the solenoid driver board with the connectors on it. It'll also have a list of the solenoids, so if you go into a test, so if we want to test the center one, that's going to be test 11. So you go into the test mode and you go to solenoid test 11. It's supposed to reset the thing. It doesn't do it. So we know there's something wrong somewhere, right? So what do you do after that? Well, this is not solenoid number 11. It's just number 11 in the test. So we still need to find out where that thing is. So what I like to do is I'll take the manual and I will photocopy the relevant pages. This is the driver board and the voltage regulator, and it has the connectors that go to the solenoids. So I'll make a photocopy of this. I'll make a photocopy of the actual schematics here that show where the coils are. This is it right here. This is these are the schematics showing the coil. In this case, this is the center drop target. It goes to Q16 is the post driver, and then the pre-driver is on U4. And then we see right here, it goes to connector J5 pin 8. So now we know the wires. And another thing I'll show you when you're reading this, if you go to the wiring diagram, and rather than do this, I'm going to pull out the copies that I made of these things, right? So this is the wiring diagram schematic, and excuse me, allergies today. So let me set this up, and I'll point to you how I can read this. Okay, so let me bring the camera over here. This camera won't focus unless it's 3 feet away, so I have to kind of set it up over there and then look at it. Okay. So what we're looking at here is this is connector J5 on the driver board, and we can go down to pin 8, and it says center drop target. So next to it is a little number. It says 18. 18 is the color code of the wire. So if you look down here on the over here, right over here, 1 is red and 8 is black. So that's a red wire with a black band on it, right? So the first thing you want to do is you want to get into the back box, and let's take a look at things. Now this is where things kind of get a little bit funny, right? I went so far as to pull a new solenoid driver board because I was going to swap it out just to see, because sometimes it's easy to just swap something out, see if that fixes it. But when you've got enough games that I have, I can do that. But if you don't have any replacements, you got to kind of just work on stuff, right? So here's our connector right here. So the first thing I wanted to do is look at pin 8. This is pin 8 right here for the solenoid center driver board. So let's zoom into that, and you can see I'll pull this connector off, and I can test continuity from this all the way down to the thing to see if there's a break in that line, because that would be the problem. So the way the coils fires, there's power continuously supplied to them, and then in order to fire the coil, the transistor grounds the other leg of the circuit, which causes the coil to energize. So this is going to be the important thing. Since we already measured there was voltage to it, we know the other end of the circuit is there. So as I'm looking at this, I just glanced and I saw something. Do you see what I see? And I was like, okay, that explains why it's not working. So do you see what I noticed? These are all the driver transistors, right? This is the pre-driver up here, and right there in Q16 there's nothing there. The transistor is literally missing. It's broken off. Now I don't know how that happened, but it's gone. It's probably somewhere in the bottom of the machine. So I'm just going to take a rough guess and say this might be the problem why the center drop targets are not resetting. This transistor is literally broken off. So that should not be too difficult to fix. Now this transistor is an SE9302, I believe is the number for these things. Except I think that's a discontinued part. So now you can replace it with a tip 102 transistor. So one of these guys right here is, let's see if I can show it to you. Go back. And this is a tip 102. So we'll stick this in there and let's see if that works. I think maybe, I don't know how it broke off, but somewhere along the line it broke. It doesn't look like it blew. It just literally sheared off. So I like it when there's an obvious solution to a problem. So in this case, I'm going to pull that board and I'm going to just replace that transistor and let's see if it works. Hopefully the transistor didn't blow and take the pre-driver, which is in a little IC further up the chain. I don't think that's going to be the case. I may do a little bit of research into how to test the pre-driver before I power everything up. But there you go. So in this case, I didn't have to really do much more. Once I started tracing the wire, I discovered instantly what the problem was the transistor was just gone. So again, always, your eyes are your best tool. So, and if something eludes you, take a break, step back from it, and then come back to it a little bit later, and suddenly it may be right in front of you. I would have saved a lot of trouble if I would have just taken a look at the driver board and noticed that there was a missing transistor. And then, of course, once there was, you find out, well, what does Q16 drive? Oh, whoa, it drives the one coil that's out. So there you have it. For more Visit pinballhelp.com. Catch me on Twitter or on YouTube. There's even a subreddit, reddit/pinballhelp. And until next time, thanks for watching.